Everyone is gonna be looking tight and fluffed. Hello, and welcome to my living room. Oh, it's so bright. It's a sick day. I thought, what better than to do some plant care, specifically moss pole care that I have been putting off for so long. So we're gonna have to take a little trip to Lowe's first to get some accoutrements. But some of these moss pole tasks are so long overdue, and there's a lot of them. This is gonna be a long, chatty catch up. It's gonna be great background for you while you're puttering around your house. Let's get started, shall we? Can't very well go to Lowe's in pajamas, so this will do. Feeling a little bit more like myself to the Batmobile. Because I truly am a child, I'm gonna have to take some of these for the road. Okay, let's go. Good morning, ladies. Thanks for looking so fabulous. Who did this? To the place that we call Lowe's. Now entering this most confusing time of year where Halloween and Christmas decorations collide. This Lowe's historically has all of the good plants, including some sort of rare finds. Their alocasia and philodendron selection was fabulous. Show me only your finest moss, please. Okay, so one of the Flobes that I have got to put on a moss pole today, I've been putting this off for months. A month? A long time. Is this guy here. This is my favorite Florida beauty from Terracotta Plant Co. She came amazing and she stayed amazing. And I am really behind the 8 ball on introducing these growth points to moss. We're gonna fix that today. Luckily for me, I've already got this on a stake. I ordered a whole bunch of Rousseau Plantcare clear moss poles. I just have to fix this and make it look less wild looking. I have to give this something to grab onto so it can continue to be my favorite Flobe. Let's take her away to the living room. I could not begin to tell you why putting a bunch of plants on a moss pole seems to be so daunting. When you actually sit down to do the thing, it does not take that long. This is gonna be a very satisfying day, finally getting these things done. Oh my God. But you know what it is? It's the stakes for the moss pole. It's our moss prep time. This is just your basic bee moss that we have procured from Lowe's. You know, one day we won't have this hideous brown granite countertop anymore. It'll be something new and chic. Like, trust, I know that the 90s and early aughts back, fashion-wise, music-wise, but countertops, never. This is oddly satisfying, like baking. Thought about making Allison Roman's coconut cake she posted recently, but that seemed like a really big production. Looks good. Ready for some moss pole action. Okay, the vibe check is complete. I've got my Palo Santo, I've got my humidifier going, I have my potting mat, golden shears, Velcro tape, a set of 5 Rousseau Plier moss poles. Okay, victim number 1. So you're gonna just fill your moss up like a giant burrito. Now that I have all of the materials, I am going to breeze through this. Rousseau Plant Care is coming out with a apparatus to water the moss poles. Like historically what I've done is House Plus Plant. She takes a smoothie bottle and then she pokes holes in the top and then that's what she waters with. That works great and that's what I've been doing. But you know, Tyler is such a design guy that he just somehow made this look even cooler. Can't wait to get my hands on that. So the more of these you do, the faster you're gonna get with the assembly. Just slinging moss poles. Nice and tight. Ta-da! We're gonna take this guy and awkwardly adjust the camera. Okay, so here's what I did with him. Because I was being lazy, I did not want to put him in a bigger pot, so I just added some of my Amazon bootleg pond on top to give it a better center of gravity. Here's where our new growth was. So I did not attach this tab here because it's been trying to root into this part here of the moss. So I'm gonna let it do that. So that is where I secured it with the tape. And then I secured it from the back onto the stake there to give it a little bit more support so it can continue to grow and feel a little bit more supported. Like this was the biggest one here, new emergent here, not yet done growing or hardening yet. And then since this thing is a Flobe, it's non-stop. It's just gonna keep growing. We're gonna extend one more time probably and then have to move onto the floor. And now it's time to tackle this beast. Oh, this has also been hanging over my head. I think the main reason is because like look where this is. The most cumbersome spot I think of this entire little vignette. I think what I'm gonna do is move everything out of the way and then stand up here and add it. So the sad truth of it is that I am probably never going to ever use this glorious fireplace again because I have all of these plants here. Love this queen. If I turn the fireplace on, they're gonna roast. They're gonna crisp and shrivel, and no amount of stress coat or silica or other soil amendments I put in to protect them is gonna save them from the glowing heat of a fireplace. The choice I had to make. By the way, I ragged on how slow this one is. Now it's putting out a new leaf. I guess ask and you shall receive. This is one of our next victims. By the way, I've said it before, but if you are a soil grower and an ambient grower, but you want to try an anthurium in pond, first of all, these are pretty inexpensive these days. It's a good starter anthurium. This has been taking off and doing nuts, absolutely nuts in pond. So this is Letusa pond, not mixed with anything else, just pond straight up. And these are her roots. Here we are, our unopposed monstera esqueleto. I'm gonna straighten this up a little bit and then get to work. Okay, really hoping to avoid a disaster on this one. Armed with some stuff here. Okay, here we go. This part is pretty straightforward. The way it's leaning, you can't see it, but it's slightly akimbo and leaning away, so it's resting here. So I feel really good. It's also on one of those garden stakes. So I feel really good about it not toppling over. But this guy is really growing into the pole here, and it's funny, these guys came out pretty much at the same time. This twin got a little bit less nutrients than this twin. He took it all. And there's another one coming out here. So all right, I am going to just Velcro this in 2 spots. Up top here. I think actually that's it for now. That's all. That's the only place where it needs it. Oh, what the hell. We'll do one more. Let's just make sure it's extra secure. I mean, why not? Live a little. This thing is nuts. It started out as a little tiny guy down here, dying in my care. And I love now that the stake is like pretty much camouflage now. When we were young and sad. Here's something kind of interesting. So you can see right here, these roots have been trying to grow into the pole, and I previously had this so it couldn't. So I loosened it so that it could continue to grow in to the pole like it wants. I moved this tab out of the way so that this could continue to grow in. So you have to check on them occasionally to make sure they are unimpeded. But from far away, you cannot even see the tabs loose there. And this is actually in a nice decorative pot here, which is really sturdy and solid. So I am not so worried about it toppling over. Okay, we're moving along here. Next plant number 3 up next. Not sure if any of you guys remember my Atabapoense that I put on a moss pole in one of my videos. This is the latest leaf. It is huge. This is a great candidate. It's growing nicely into the pole. If you have one of these and you're on the fence, do it before it gets too big. We have some escaping roots here at the top. So I'm just going to pack it with some extra moss here, because when you have the moss ready, you know, it's like a pain to do all of these moss chores at once. You've got to make the time. And today I am making the time for all of the moss hole chores. Everyone is going to be looking tight and fluffed and happy. Okay, easy, cross it off the list, done, on to the next. Moving on with our little project. Time to wrestle with the new purchase. Giant stakes. The next one, it's only 1 moss pole deep, so now I'm gonna start introducing a little stability here. Once you put something on a moss pole, it is headed skyward. Sweating in here, it's so hot. How is it the end of October and it's so hot? Aha. Another Flobe, the last Flobe, needing my immediate attention. Okay, once you get the moss ready, it's easy. I pre-cut my, here we go, my stake into the back, jam it down ever so gently. I'm going to secure it with these guys. It's hard to say no to a Florida beauty because you just want to know, like, what is the color story going to be like? What kind of variegation is it going to give you? I feel like I'm playing a bassoon. Here's our newest leaf coming out here. So the growth point is all happy. A little gap here in the back. Actually going to fill it with pawn, I think. Give it a bit of weight there. Mix it in. I love mixing a little bit of pawn with my chunky aroid mix anyway. There she goes. Looking good. Pretty secure here. I'm actually amazed by this one, by how this has stayed pristine for so long. I think it's because it is getting a ton of light. This one too. So this one has not been giving me any surprises as far as variegation and reverting. So happy for that. Can we just take a minute to acknowledge what happened to poor Voldemort here? I mean, he was minding his own business. A tripod fell over on him when I wasn't home and took off this lobe here and put some giant gashes in him. So he's still alive, just barely, but he looks like he's had a rough one. He's doing the walk of shame. Sorry I wasn't here to protect you. Still have this guy though, he still looks good. I debated just chopping him off, starting over again. I don't know, what do you think? Chop, let it ride. What would you guys do? Anyway, I feel bad. Do you know who loves a moss pole? Hold on so I don't fall down the stairs here. Ah, it's the second time today. This burle marked flame. You're gonna love this. Come with me. Different riff than the last one. So I had up-potted this not too long ago. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna give it a new house. Give it room to grow. So I like this pot. It's got some nice aeration in it and it's got a reservoir at the bottom. I'm a big fan of these. They're from Amazon. monstera spoon literally makes you 10 to 15% happier when you use this guy. Gosh, I'm gonna need a bronch now. That was dumb. Don't take a big giant inhale of that. It's so stupid. Anytime I'm like messing with the roots, I like to give it a dusting with my old friend Great White Powder, which is a mycorrhizae powder. It's gonna help the plant use water and nutrients more efficiently. It starts nice and clean, so I don't mind reusing it. That was so bad. Don't do that. Just, you don't have to wear a mask if you don't want, but just do something less dumb than I did. Okay. I'm gonna adhere this cute little guy to this. It's gonna be a miracle if I don't shear this little tiny leaf off. Okay. Looks good. Gonna fill this in. I'm gonna put it towards the back here. It looks pretty big, but like a lot of it is this bottom reservoir. Okay, so I'm gonna fill this in now with some chunky arid mix, and I'm gonna try my best not to inhale it. So what's gonna happen now is the plant is going to think this is the system it's supposed to root into, and it's gonna become an extension of the plant. Tilt it back a little bit. So the mixture I have this in is some coconut chips, some leca, pumice, perlite, tree fern fiber. Sometimes I put pon in. I don't think there's any pon in here. Lots of pumice though. Awesome. So hopefully this feels really nice and secure and feels like climbing and gives me a new lobster claw. So usually this would drip everywhere, but the reservoir is gonna catch it, which is kind of nice. It's dripping everywhere a little bit. The reservoir runneth over. Oh hey there guys, it's still me. It is actual Halloween, and this multitasking mama is going to do one last moss pole installment of this philodendron Spirit of Sancti. I bought this as a tissue culture. I think it's actually 2 plants here. But anyway, these thrive on a moss pole, so that's what I'm gonna do. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I am Zelda from Legend of Zelda. For those of you gamers out there, just serving pure Halloween energy for you guys today. We're doing it. These roots are looking great though. This is a quick grower. If you don't have one of these already and you're on the fence, the price of these has dropped precipitously. These can now be procured for quite inexpensive prices, whereas they used to fetch quite a pretty penny. I'm gonna loosen the top ones here. Shove it in, like that. So, funny story guys. So today, miraculously, I was able to participate in my son's trick-or-treat parade thingy. And I was dressed as Zelda, and that's looking good. So we are secured in here. It's snapped into place here. This is where the newest leaf is already coming out. Like I said, this grows like a rocket. These are so quick. They're so fast and looking really good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna fill this with a little bit of chunky aroid mix. Okay. If you notice a lot of people's PSS on a moss pole, it does kind of look like a little awkward. They often have to be strapped into place, like they want to grow outwards. So that's happening to you. You are not alone. So I was giving out candy and then my ear suddenly came off, which these ears are really precarious. And I put it by the table where I was handing out Halloween candy. And then I noticed at the end of the event, the ear was gone. What had indeed happened was I gave the ear away in a bag to some poor unsuspecting child. But it definitely put the trick in the trick-or-treat. And of course my son was completely mortified. but good times were had by all. Gosh, that was so fast. Almost feels like cheating how easy that was. Okay, there we go. Looking good. In this kind of beginning stage, just keep an eye on it. Make sure it's looking good. You can just feel in between here when it starts to get a little crisp. Here's your water bottle to top it up, and this is what I use. This smoothie bottle here with the holes poked in, and then you just set it in here, and it just pulls the water in. But again, if you're in the US, keep your eyes peeled for Rousseau Plantcare. Are going to be having a jazzy looking watering apparatus that like fits in here and looks more decorative. Okay, I did it. The moss poles have all been handled. This is such a pretty plant. And it just keeps getting better and better. No stake for you yet because you're just one level. It's unnecessary, I think. I haven't tried wire poles yet. Never say never. Should give it a try. See how the other side lives. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this Hallows Eve edition of moss pole care and maintenance. I hope you had an amazing holiday. We're ready for the next season. Until then, I am wishing you the biggest leaf energy.